3, 2, 1.
Hello YouTube, my name is DJ Loco Lopez and you are watching the DJ Bit. This is going to be a new series that I'm going to try to do every week. I'm going to try to commit myself to doing it every week. And every week I'm going to be talking about DJ stuff, music, mixes, equipment, other DJs, changes in the scene. And what triggered me to do it was, I've seen a lot of other DJs on YouTube. I follow a lot of the other DJs, and I really, really love their content. One of the reasons I didn't want to do a show like this is because I felt like the market was oversaturated and there were plenty of DJs doing it. Nick Spinelli, Aaron Strawn, Cleveland Terry, Digital DJ Tips, shout out Phil, and Brian's Red, and all of those channels. I've watched all of those channels over the last couple of years. I've seen them thrive, I've seen them grow, and more power to them, showing how the DJ community can pull together and, do things on YouTube. So I never thought about doing a show that only talked about DJing because I just didn't know how much I would be effective in YouTube like some of those other guys. I have 40 years experience in DJing, and as of a recent change in my life, including, starting my own business outside of DJing and having a little more free time to devote to marketing and doing things for my DJ business, I decided to throw my hat into the ring and start a segment on YouTube, whatever you call it, on YouTube about DJing, because I do have 40 years in the business and I'm continuing to do that, throughout all these years. And I have plenty to offer. I have a different perspective. A lot of the perspectives that I have might be the same and they might follow along with other DJs. And, but my perspective, I feel should have some value. And if it does, then I'll see that in the views. And if it doesn't, then what's the worst that can happen? I started a YouTube channel and, nothing happened. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So, yeah, I'm going to attempt to do this every week. I'm going to, pick out topics that I want to talk about. And, hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully it's informative. And hopefully you get something out of it. Maybe I'll make some new friends. Who knows, I'm just looking to be as genuine as possible and to share a lot of my experience. I used to do a show back during the pandemic. I was never big on like talking about the DJ business itself or talking about myself in the DJ business. And years ago, before the internet, before the internet was ubiquitous as it is today, I started a magazine, and the magazine's name was Latino Voice. And all that started from being a DJ because I was looking for ways to promote my DJ business. And there, at the time, it was the common avenues. You would do flyers, you would do commercials if you could afford to pay for commercials on the radio, or television ads, which not too many DJs back in the day had money to do that per se. And I found one time, I used to work in a print shop, and I used to own a print shop. And I found one time a little newsletter that was geared toward printing. And I flipped through it, and it had a lot of unique stories about printing and all these, different interesting little topics. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, maybe I can create one for DJs. And I started putting one together. I started designing it and putting it together. And I realized at that point in time, with my ability to distribute a magazine to such a small community, that I really was talking to myself, and that, talking about DJing wasn't really going to have an appeal at all to anybody but me or a few people like me. Because once again, there was no internet. There was no avenue for me to share with the world. I was sharing with my the tri-state area of maybe less than 1 million people. So I couldn't afford to produce 1 million copies of my magazine at that point in time. And certainly out of 1 million people back then, we're talking about maybe a few hundred DJs that might pick this up. So I decided, long story short, I decided to change the content of my magazine. And I made it about information regarding Latin American history, culture, topics, food, all of that. And then what I would do is I would advertise my DJ business within the magazine. And the magazine kind of took a life of its own for a while. And I got to do some really cool things with the magazine. Got to work with WWE at one point in time. We got to meet all of the wrestlers that were on the roster at the time, which a lot of those wrestlers included Stone Cold Steve Austin. They included Undertaker, Kane, Vince McMahon, and Eddie Guerrero, and a lot of the Latin, Eddie Chavo, Rey Mysterio Jr. So we did a lot of work with them and promoting their business on our magazine, and having interviews. We were able to have some interviews with some actual music artists. We featured Mark Anthony, we featured J-Lo, we featured Jimmy Smits, we featured we featured comedians, we featured Shakira, we featured so many people on the magazine. And the magazine kind of got huge, for me anyway. I was circulating about 10,000 copies in the region, and it felt really good to be part of that and to have that grow my business. And it did really grow my business, because I went from DJing maybe a handful of times a month to being booked solid for a couple years at a time. So it was really, really good for my business. Well, when the pandemic hit, I was doing, I was gigging regularly. I had my weekly events that I was doing multiple times a week. And I had my wedding seasons, booked out. Everything was great. But when we found ourselves locked in at home during the pandemic, everything just kind of collapsed. There was nothing there. And DJs took to social media. We took to Twitch. We took to Facebook. We took to all the different forms of social media and started trying to make our way in social media. And I saw a lot of pop-ups for DJs. So I decided to throw my hat in the ring back then. I really didn't have much in the way of being able to produce videos, so I had to go get cameras. I had to do what it took to get myself on air in social media. And I, once again, just like I felt back in the early 2000s, I didn't realize the power of social media. I didn't realize that there were so many DJs out there. And just kind of in hindsight, I didn't think about how big the DJ community really, really was. And that this time I was going to be able to reach the world, not just, a few people within the city or within the tri-state area. So I kind of thought, well, is, DJing online? I mean, everybody's doing it. There are so many people that are doing it right now. So should I do that, or should I try something else? So what I did was I tried doing another version of what the magazine was. So I did a variety show instead on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I used to simulcast it on all three. And doing that show was a departure from me being a DJ. I mean, it had DJ elements in it, and I filmed it in my studio, which you can see behind me, but it was in a different studio at the time. And I filmed that hoping to generate the same interest in my product as a DJ as, starting a channel and gaining popularity and views. And the algorithms didn't really work for me. They were basically shadow banning my content anytime there was music in it, and it was just not getting the traction that I wanted to get. But I put a lot of energy and effort into doing that show. I designed graphics. I was doing animated graphics. And not to toot my own horn, but I was doing animated graphics before everyone had animated graphics in their video content, or at least DJs anyway. At the time, during the pandemic, all DJs were starting off from scratch, and none of us really knew how to produce videos, how to produce segments and things like that. So most DJs opted for, hey, I'm a good DJ. I'm just going to put a camera on me and I'm going to DJ. And that worked for a lot of DJs. But me being the person that I am and wanting to entertain people and wanting to kind of show off more skill in video editing, more skill in graphic design, more skill in the presentation of everything. I wanted to have something that was a little bit bigger than that. And DJing for me, during that time, I wanted to have something a little more entertaining. So that's why I created the Red Zone live show. And but once again, that didn't really pan out as much as I wanted it to. So when things opened up finally from the pandemic, I decided to kind of drop it. Working on Red Zone Live was really, really difficult because I was producing it like a show. I was treating it like it was a television show. I was writing copy. I was downloading content. I was creating my presentations. I was directing the show at the same time as I was performing. I was doing a lot of the editing live. And it was very time consuming. So I was spending about 20 to 30 hours a week producing that show, and then not to get views from it, and for it not to really produce any value after 26 episodes. I got 26 episodes. They're still up on my YouTube channel. I cringe a little bit when I see them, if I'm honest. But I still keep them up there because it is part of my legacy. It's part of my history. So I'm just going to leave them up there. And I may go back to doing that show, honestly, because, after 40 years of the DJ business, I figure I want to expand my creativity, and I would love to do the show again. And I think with my new studio back here, which is, I just moved into this new place and love this new studio. I think I can really do probably a better job. And if I get some people to help me produce the show, maybe I can, do a better job in the show. And instead of, one of the reasons why I cringe about the show is because as I was directing, a lot of the time, there's a lot of things going wrong. And I would have to concentrate on the actual production of the show. So my presence on camera it wasn't what I wanted it to be. So maybe I'll go back and do the show. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and try my hand in the ring one more time at doing something that's DJ-ish, it produced from a DJ, but really about entertainment and fun. Versus just talking about this stuff right here. But anyway, so I did that, and for a long time, I struggled whether or not I wanted to start a DJ kind of talk segment or a show like this. And I kept seeing DJs pop up, and I realized, what the hell? Just do it. Just try it. Just post it up there. Who cares? If it gets views, it gets views. If it doesn't get views, it doesn't get views. So I'm very happy that I'm gonna start this new venture. And right now, I don't have a whole lot of flash in my show right now. So I'm not gonna edit this particular video. I'm not gonna take it into Premiere and chop it up, and do all that stuff. I just kind of decided to release this as is with very little fluff. And actually, funny story. So I was looking up music, royalty-free music for my show. And I'll tell you guys about that on another episode. I'll tell you about the royalty-free music. I'll cue it up and I'll play it because it was pretty hysterical as I was going through this. And but anyway, the reason I'm releasing this right now, and the reason I'm releasing this raw, uncut, unfiltered footage, is because I have been sitting on this for the last few months, I think, and I keep telling myself, oh, I'm going to start tomorrow. Then I sit down and I work on something for a little bit, and then I give up. Then I'll maybe chop up a few videos, and I don't like the way they look. And I'll talk about something, or I'll try to do a pre-canned subject, and it just never works out. So just before I cut this video, I was sitting and I was recording, and I was trying to chop up some video and produce a nice polished piece, and I just couldn't get it right. And it looked so terrible. It just wasn't coming out professional. And I decided, you know what? If you're going to get started, just get started. Just post up a video. Nobody cares. Just do it. So I decided to do it. So this, in essence, is the first episode of the DJ bit. And I'm just going to I am going to get into DJing. I am going to get into talking about that stuff because it is interesting. And I probably said that about 3 or 4 times already. So I think it's probably time to end this video. But anyway, if you're interested in joining me on this journey with the DJ bit, please like, share, and subscribe. If you get anything out of these videos, if you get anything out of my perspective over the last 40 years in this business, that would mean a lot to me. That would mean a lot to me even if the views are low. Even if only 10 people see it, but it really does something for those 10 people. Even if it does something for one person, it makes them realize something about their skill or their equipment or, their perspective. If it helps change anything, that's all that matters to me. I don't care. I'm fortunate enough to be able to produce content like this. I'm fortunate enough to have been in the industry as long as I have, and I just want to share stuff with people. So if you want to share with me, by all means, drop comments and like my videos, and let's get this conversation started. In any case, I look forward to seeing you guys. I'm going to try to do it every week. And the reason why I'm saying I'm going to try is because there's a lot of time has to get put into these videos. A lot of energy and effort has to get put into these videos. But I am going to try every week to produce a video. So thank you very much for joining me. And I hope to see you guys soon on the DJ Bit.
Yeah! 3, 2, 1.